Okay, so I want to welcome us to another trading week. Today is Monday, the 21st of October, 2024, and we're having the weekly market outlook this morning where we'll review uh, the market for this week. That's from the 21st to the 25th, of the month of October. So we start with our fundamentals, then we now go over to the technicals. Now, from the fundamental angle, we don't really have any tradable fundamental event today, but from tomorrow, we'll start having fundamental activities that may be tradable. Now, from tomorrow, Tuesday, we have because of time, I'll just touch the key points. Now, there's going to be the Bank of England Governor Bailey speech by 2:25 p.m. tomorrow. That will lead to some volatility in the market, though not tradable, but it will really lead to some volatility in the market. And by 3 p.m. tomorrow, FOMC member Aka is going to give a speech, and the Richmond Manufacturing Index will also take place. And that could also lead to some volatility. Though the speech by the FOMC member will not be tradable, but the Richmond Manufacturing Index event will be tradable. So we expect some volatility on the dollar and on the pound tomorrow. And on Wednesday, there's going to be the Bank of Canada monetary policy report and Bank of Canada restatement. Then the overnight trade. The overnight trade is the tradable part of the event, all happening by 2:45 p.m. We should expect volatility across the card pairs, on Wednesday. And same Wednesday, but Wednesday is filled with a lot of speeches. The European Central Bank Lagarde will give a speech by 3 p.m. There'll be existing home sales from the United States. That is going to be a tradable event. 3:30 p.m. again on Wednesday, there'll be Bank of Canada press conference. Crude oil inventories will be a tradable event. Then 6 p.m., the Reserve Bank of New Zealand Governor Orr will give a speech. And 9:30 p.m., Bank of England Governor Bailey will give a speech. In fact, a lot of speeches on Wednesday. I will really advise to trade with a lot of caution on that day because those speeches, they just lead to some spikes in the market that may not be that easy to control. So watch out for a lot of spikes and erratic movement on Wednesday. And on Thursday, there are a lot of tradable events on Thursdays, like on Thursday rather. By 8:15 a.m., we have the French flash manufacturing PMI and the French flash services PMI from the Eurozone by 8:15 a.m. Those two events will be tradable and will lead to a lot of volatility on the euro pairs. And by 8:30, there'll be the German flash manufacturing PMI and the German flash services PMI. Those two events also will be tradable. So we expect a lot of volatility on the euro pairs between 8:15 to 8:30 and even 9 a.m. when there'll be the flash manufacturing PMI and the flash services PMI. So from 8:15 to 9 a.m., six events will be happening, 8:15, 8:30, 9 a.m. on the Eurozone, which will lead to a lot of movement on the euro pairs. And by 9:30 a.m. on that same Thursday, there'll be the flash manufacturing PMI from the United Kingdom and the flash services PMI. That is also going to be tradable. And by 1:30 p.m. on Thursday, there'll be the unemployment claims and monetary policy report. Unemployment claims at 1:30. Monetary policy report earnings is still tentative. Then by 2:45 p.m., there'll be the flash manufacturing PMI, flash services PMI from the United States, and that will be tradable. And that'll be the new home sales by 3 p.m. And on Friday, the main event for Friday is going to be the core retail sales and retail sales from Canada by 1:30 p.m. And it's going to happen simultaneously with the core durable good orders from the United States. So 1:30 p.m. is a key time. We're having major events from both Canada and the United States on Friday by 1:30 p.m. All right, so these are the events that we can look at. Some tradable, the speeches are not going to be tradable, but then they can lead to a lot of movement in the market. So I want us to just take note of these events and mark them in our calendar and trade with caution, especially when we're going to be having those speeches by the central bank governors or people in his team, because those events could lead to a lot of volatility in the market. So that being said, we'll look at the technicals for what to expect for the week. Now, I just flipped over to MetaTrader. So you should be seeing my MT4 chart now. And on my technicals, I'll start with the dollar index. Now, dollar has just been, unstable. Both dollar and gold have been doing a lot of foreign moves lately. Dollar is strong, gold is strong. Well, we just need to be able to be patient to filter out which direction the market really is going. So, however, the dollar index rather closed last Friday, with this candle that is touching a support turn resistance zone on the weekly time frame. We can't categorically call it a rejection candle because the shadow is not longer than the body, but we can't also ignore the fact that the shadow is appreciable also. It's a bit sizable. So with the shadow closing, around a support on resistance, we can still safely have a bearish outlook, on the dollar for this week. So all things being equal, if because this shadow is just at the tip of that support on resistance zone, it could be rejected, could lead to some rejection. And if that is what happens, we should have some bearish movement on the dollar for this week. So if the dollar is going to be going bearish, I'm going to be putting a lot of attention on the USD card. The USD card, I think I mentioned this instrument maybe last Thursday or Friday thereabouts, that I said I was bearish on it, and I still maintain that bearish outlook, except if market condition changes. Now, for the dollar, for the USD card, if you go to the weekly time frame, there is an overall resistance. There's an overall resistance zone right here on the weekly time frame for the USD card. And we can see that, let me fine tune it. All right, if you go down now, you can see that this tip, formed the base of that resistance zone. And the candle for last week actually touched that zone. So if you go over to the daily time frame, we can clearly see that there was a rejection candle from last week that touched that zone. In fact, it broke through a support on resistance, right here, even on the daily. So that tells us we have some resistance and some rejection around this zone last week. So with that rejections candle, I remember telling somebody that it has introduced some kind of weakness in the card, even though it looks like in the last 2 days it's been buying, but I believe ultimately we should still expect a reversal on the USD card. So if you flip down to the 4-hour time frame, this is what I'm seeing on the 4-hour. I'm seeing earlier on, I remember telling us it looked like it was trying to form a head and shoulder, then a decline, but then that seems to be changing. Now, patterns can change, but overall sentiment may not necessarily change. What I mean is that a chart pattern may be appearing like it's giving you head and shoulders on point, and for one reason or the other, it may change, and maybe now from price goes to hit the resistance and still sells. So that's why I always emphasize the focus is not the pattern. Focus should be the direction. The pattern is just to give us insight into the ultimate direction that price is going. What I saw earlier was like it was trying to form a head and shoulder, but that pattern seems to have changed. And what I'm seeing forming now is the possibility of a double top pattern. And that's what I'm seeing. Because if I go up there, and that is what I can see, price is approaching a minor resistance up there, which if it evolves into what I'm seeing, then we should have a double top, which will lead to a decline. And the truth is that even if it doesn't evolve into a double top, ultimately what I'm looking out for is a breakout downwards. But the double top pattern will just give it clarity, because at the point of the breakout, we should have a valid neckline here. At the break below the neckline, will trigger us into a bearish trade on the USD card on 4-hour. And peradventure price doesn't even hit this resistance here. Even if it reverses at the current point, it's still a valid double top pattern. So I hold a bearish outlook on the USD card for this week, as we anticipate a breakout of price below this neckline to trigger a sell on the USD card. And that lines up with our sentiment on the dollar being bearish. So if you have the USD card being bearish, it still very much goes in line with the overall sentiment of the dollar. So we should expect a bearish movement on the USD CAD this week. So, and that will also happen if the fundamentals, you can see there are a lot of fundamental events from Canada this week. If most of those events comes out, to favor the Canadian dollar, then that will lead to the decline of the USD CAD. So that way, we'll have been able to match both the fundamental and the technical together to give us an overall outlook of what to expect on the USD CAD for this week. So I'm bearish on the USD CAD. And likewise, I'm also bearish on the USD CHF. So to be honest, my major view for this week, my major analysis for this week is the USD CAD. We can have a supporting, setup for the USD CHF. Now for the USD CHF, if we go to the weekly time frame, we can see that the candle that closed last week, closed at a minor resistance level on the weekly time frame. So we have this minor resistance here, and this is the candle that closed last week at the tip of that resistance. And since price was unable to break out above this level, we expect a decline in the USD CHF for this week. So if we flip down to the 4-hour, time frame, then this is what we'll see. Can draw a trend line comfortably there, and the second one at the back to give us a rising wedge pattern. Now, with the rising wedge pattern, we'll be expecting a bearish breakout, to trigger us into a sell. And some confirmations will also help us in that regards. And we have this minor support here. Price also needs to break out below that minor support, for us to have a clear bearish break on the USD CHF. And the final confirmation at the point of entry, your RSI should be clearly below 50, to trigger a sell on the USD CHF. So I'm bearish on the USD CHF, and I'm bearish on the USD CAD. Now, don't forget, both setups are on the 4-hour time frame. So they are both swing, and they're expected to stand at least the better part of the week. So we have two bearish setups, which are swing on both the USD CAD and the USD CHF. Good morning, Aldi. Now, I'll be looking also this week on the US oil. And this is my view on the US oil. On the weekly time frame, we can clearly see, let me remove this trend line. We can see that all right. So you can say, okay, let me start with the support zone. You can clearly see that we have a support zone, right there on the weekly time frame. We established a support zone there. And if we zoom further, we discover that the last week candle, which is the candle, closed at the tip of that support zone. So if price is within the support zone or at the tip, technically, we should be expecting a reversal in price. And if we zoom down to the daily, this is the price at the tip here from where we expect, a possible reversal on the US oil. But then at that point also, I can clearly see that we have a trend line right here that connects these three, points together. Now, this is forming what is called a triple bottom pattern. And for a triple bottom pattern, the direction is also bullish. So that gives us a view that this point here is a confluence point where we have price hitting the support zone, and also price is touching the trend line the third time, on the bullish direction. So giving us both direction for the two times price is touching that level is giving us a bullish. Now, with this trend line here is actually a continuation. This is a continuation pattern. The fourth one is a reversal. So we are looking ultimately for price to go in the bullish direction right there on the daily time frame. Now, if you zoom down to the 4-hour, now this is my view on this instrument on the 4-hour. Just a second. All right, this is my view right here on the 4-hour. I have a resistance. There's a resistance, a minor resistance zone up there. Ultimately, I believe price is going to break out into the bullish direction. But then, before the breakout happens, I'm also perceiving we may have this zone like a support, like a shoulder, rather, a shoulder, a head. There may be a second shoulder, then a breakout. That's what I perceive could happen there. But if that doesn't happen at all, we will as well have an outright breakout. So, like I always say, if we see patterns, we can trade them. And it doesn't change the fact that sometimes market forces may override those patterns, and we should focus a lot even more on the ultimate of the market. So if it doesn't form an inverse head and shoulder, we have an outright bullish breakout. So I hold a bullish outlook on the US oil, for this week. It's a swing setup, it's a 4-hour setup. There is an intraday setup, but the pips may not be that much. And that's if you flip down to 1 hour. You flip down to 1 hour. Okay, that it's already changing. As of last night, it was forming something that looks like uh, a double bottom here, which could lead to a breakout, but then it's evolving, into some inverse head and shoulder, which may still go up, to hit this resistance. That can give you some few pips, some 10, 11 pips thereabout from my calculation last night. Yeah, some 11 pips. If you can catch that as a scalper, that would be great. That would be great. But my focus is actually the swing. That's my focus. I anticipate price, will break out to the upside for us to have a massive bullish breakout. Now, if you're taking this as a swing, personally, I'll be looking at these two levels as my take profit level. This high and the next one as my take profit levels. And why will I be looking at those two levels as my take profit level? If you go over to the daily time frame, you discover that we have a resistance. We have a valid resistance level here as a point which I want to use as a CP2. And this place, you can say high, price could actually get to this place also. So that's why I'm looking at those two levels as my take profit levels. So I'm bullish on the US oil for the week. I also have my eyes on the Euro GBP for this week, and I'm bullish on this one. Now, for the Euro GBP, if we go over to the monthly time frame, you discover that price closed last week on the monthly support level. This is Euro GBP on the monthly time frame. Price closed last Friday on the monthly support level. If you go back to the daily time frame, you discover that at that support level, last Friday closed as a rejection candle. This is the valid rejection candle, with a candlestick with a long shadow and small body. And you can see the body is closing at the tip of the support. So technically, we should be looking for an opportunity to buy the Euro GBP this week, especially today. I'll be more specific on today. So if you flip down to the 1 hour time frame, this is what I'm seeing. I'm seeing an inverse head and shoulder pattern, then a bullish breakout on the Euro GBP. So I hold a bullish outlook on the Euro GBP. Now, this is a 1 hour, is an intraday setup. It will take place, it should take place today. And if price breaks out, I'm expecting a breakout above this region as a neckline. And I'll be looking at targeting this tip here as a first take profit level and the other one as the second take profit level. Now, if you cannot do TP1 and TP2, TP1 is okay. And the first level and the first point here can be your take profit level. That is, this zone here can be your take profit level. And at that point, price should have been able to make a profit to the tune of about 27, between 25 and 27 pips thereabout. And that's not bad for intraday trading, because 25 pips at 0.1 lot is $25, at 0.01 lot is $2.5. At one standard lot, that's about $250. So trade it according to your equity. That's very important. So I'm bullish on the Euro GBP for today. It's an intraday setup. And I'm also having a bearish outlook on the GBP AUD. I'm bearish on the GBP AUD for this week. Yeah, because it's a swing setup. Now for GBP AUD, if you look at it on this daily time frame, we can clearly see that we have a descending channel. Price is in a wave, is in a downward wave, and the next wave should be downward. That's the next wave. And coincidentally, price has hit the trend line here the first time, second time. The third time that price hits the trend line also coincides with a resistance zone. And that also gives us a bearish outlook. And thirdly, we also have a rejection candle here, which also indicates we should be ready for a bearish movement on the GBP AUD. All this I've given is on the daily time frame. And right on the daily time frame, I'm also seeing the formation of a shoulder, a head, a second shoulder. Then we expect a breakout downwards. So if we go, and everything here as in pointing us to the bearish direction. So if I go down to the 4-hour time frame, so what I'm seeing here now is, I'm waiting for the second shoulder to form. This is the shoulder, a head. A second shoulder is in formation. Then we should see a massive bearish breakout on the GBP AUD. Now, it's possible price may go to hit this resistance zone and trend line and decline. It's possible. And it's possible price may not get there. Whichever one that happens, the price, the forces of demand and supply will determine how far this movement goes. It may reverse even from here and it's still valid. Most importantly, what we're looking out for is a reversal and price breaking out below the neckline. Once price breaks out below the neckline, it will be a time to trigger a sell on GBP AUD. And we're expecting a massive bearish movement. At the least, price is expected to target the support level at this region, and if you are in the funnel group, I will be looking to drop a signal on this once it's mature. At least on the average, this should give us over like 251 pips. That's if we're not using Fibonacci. But if we're making use of the Fibonacci tool, if our entry is just around this tip, then to Fibonacci 50 can give about 40, let's say 49, 50 pips. To Fibonacci 7.8 can give about 107 pips, and to Fibonacci 78.2 can give about 175 pips. So price may still go as far as the Fibonacci 0, which is about 269 pips. So you can take profit based on your risk management, and your own personal discretion. So I hold a bearish outlook on the GBP AUD. And don't forget, this is a swing setup. It's a 4-hour setup, which might span the whole week. And finally, I'll be looking at the New Zealand JPY. That's the last instrument I'm looking at today. New Zealand JPY. Yeah, I remember I analyzed this instrument last week, I think Friday or so, Thursday, and I said it was symmetrical triangle, and it still remains a symmetrical triangle. However, the last time I analyzed it, we anticipated price to break out above this resistance, but then it's hit a resistance and decided to decline, But it's still a symmetrical triangle. If price reverses and breaks out upward, we still buy, or if it breaks out downward, we sell. So let's watch out for this one in the course of this week. Try to check on another instrument now. All right, I'll be looking at the NAS 100. NAS 100 is another instrument I'm putting my attention on. Now, this is going to be a swing setup. So if you trade NAS, please trade with caution. It's swing. This instrument can be very volatile, so please trade with caution. Now, we can see that for NAS 100, price closed last week, Friday, as a rejection candle on the resistance level on the weekly time frame. It closed as a rejection candle on a resistance level on the weekly time frame. So technically, that means we're looking for a decline in price this week. If you look at it on one angle, this may end up forming a double top pattern. But let's just leave that one out for now. Let the emphasis for now be on the fact that we have price closing as a rejection candle at the resistance level on the weekly time frame for last week. All right. So with that being said, if you flip down to the daily time frame, we can clearly see that I mentioned this last week. We had a bearish engulfing candlestick, which was supposed to trigger a sell, but it didn't happen then. Price retraced, and 2 days after formed a rejection candle, which hit the resistance and is also expected to lead to a reversal. But then last week, Friday, still didn't reverse. We still had some retracement. But I believe strongly this week, we should be having that massive decline or massive bearish breakout on the NAS 100 because this is NAS 100 on 4 hour, and this is a rejection candle. This is a 4 hour version of it, and it has come up here to form something that looks like a double top, which I believe will trigger the bearish breakout on this instrument. So we can go ahead and still draw our trend lines, and we'll have a trend line go this way and a second one at the back to give us a valid rising wedge pattern. So if we have, since we have a valid rising wedge pattern, we're just waiting for price to break out here. And I tell you, it's going to be a massive, very, very massive breakout we are anticipating on the NAS 100. So if you're there, you trade NAS 100, get ready. There will be a massive opportunity, to sell NAS 100 this week. Now, we should also not forget the fact that we have a minor support here because that place is looking like the neckline of a double top pattern. So once price breaks below the neckline and breaks the trend line, it will be a time to trigger a sell on NAS 100. And we can use our Fibonacci tool to look for profit-taking levels as this, setup evolves. And I tell you, it's going to be a massive, very, very massive bearish movement. The Fibonacci 38.2 can give as much as about 486 pips. Fibonacci 50 can give about 700 pips. 61.8 can give about 1,000 pips. But most importantly, trade with caution because this instrument can be a lot, and a lot volatile. All right, so that will be all from my end this week. This morning, I've analyzed about 7 to 8 instruments. There's only one of them that I've given as an intraday trading setup, and that's the Euro GBP, where I said I'm bullish on the Euro GBP. For this week, the dollar index is showing us a bearish outlook. So we're looking for opportunity to sell the USD CAD and the USD CHF, both of them on the 4 hour time frame. And we're bearish on the GBP AUD on 4 hour. And we're bullish on the US oil on both 1 hour and 4 hour, but the emphasis is actually on the 4 hour. We're bullish on the US oil on the 4 hour. And the New Zealand JPY, being a symmetrical triangle, price can go either bullish or bearish. So we just trade in a direction of the breakout. And finally, I'm bearish on the NAS 100 on the 4 hour time frame. All right, so that'll be all from my end this morning. I can see that people are already dropping requests. I will answer them, then we'll round up the analysis session. So Mr. Williams is asking that I should check New Zealand USD. So let's quickly look at that. All right, this is New Zealand USD. Currently, there is no tradable setup on this instrument. I remember we analyzed it last week. We were anticipating, I think, maybe a double bottom and a reversal, but price never hit the neckline, so it was not a setup that triggered. But currently, I'm not seeing any tradable setup around. Let's go to 4 hour, 1 hour. All I can see at the moment is that price is ranging on the 1 hour time frame. Price is in a range. If price breaks out below the range, then we can look for an opportunity to sell. Or if it reverses back upwards, you can look for an opportunity to buy. So currently, price is just trading within a range on the New Zealand USD. It's trading within this range on the 1 hour time frame, where we can look at breakouts in any direction. So that's my view on the New Zealand USD. So Olabi is asking me to check the Euro New Zealand. So let's check that. All right. Yeah, I remember this setup. We had a bearish setup for last week, but price, it didn't trigger. Price didn't break out this support zone. We were anticipating a head and shoulder in a breakout, but then instead of that, price just started doing its own thing and it has not broken out. For me, to be honest, I've moved on. It didn't break out as I anticipated, so it was not a setup that triggered. It may still reverse and break out maybe this week, but I'm not giving guarantees. It's not giving clear pattern for reversal. So for me, I will just move on from this. I've moved on. I've moved on from it. If it was something like that GBP AUD, I mentioned it last week and I mentioned it this week because it's still very valid. This one is not looking too valid. But like I said, that doesn't change the fact that price can reverse. But I would have preferred if it just worked as analyzed. This was my proposed shoulder then and a breakout, and that would have been a massive breakout. But when structure starts changing like this, I want to be very careful. So I off from this. I'm not saying it's no longer valid. You can still watch it, but I've moved on from it. All right, gold. Now, if the dollar is bullish, sorry, if the dollar is bearish, rather, gold might be going higher. Gold might be going higher if since the dollar is having a kind of a bearish outlook, we might be anticipating a bullish one gold. So what I will advise if you're there, you trade gold is this. You can wait for price. Don't just enter a sell, a buy randomly. Say because dollar is weak, so let me just enter, a buy on gold. Rather, trade with principle, trade with insight. What I would advise you do is that this is gold on the 15 minutes time frame. We have a high here, which is like a resistance. You may wait for price to break out above that resistance, retest the old resistance, which is now a support, then look for a candlestick pattern around this region, now buy upwards. So that's best advice I can give you for trading gold. So if dollar is bearish, gold technically might be going bullish. Sorry, I'm trying to stop something here. All right, so that's my view on gold to Alfucan farms. All right, that's also a response. Amaka, that's my view on gold. Kele, retouch on USD card. We're having a double top pattern, so I'm expecting entry at the break at the neckline region for USD card, and it's a 4-hour setup. Euro USD. Now, somebody was asking about Euro USD last week, and I gave my opinion on this instrument. For me, I will, even though we're having a bearish outlook and we may say there's a possibility of this instrument going bullish, you also want to enter a buy. You want to be sure you have valid reasons why you're looking for an opportunity to buy. And my view still remains, I will look for a buy only if price drops to this support level and now reverses. So that's the only situation that will make me look for a buy on the Euro USD. Aside that, I will just stay out. But if price can drop to this support level, then I will look for a buy. From there. What I mean is that if it drops, let's go to 1 hour. If price drops to this support, then we can look for a buy from there. Can do that either on 1 hour or 4-hour time frame, whichever one suits you. Whichever one suits you. So that's my outlook on the Euro USD. GBP CHF, that's MK. GBP CHF might be going bearish from what I saw last night, but then we should trade it with a lot of caution because this instrument can do a lot of spikes, can spike a lot. But this is my view. You can see that we have a descending trend line on the daily time frame. And we have a minor resistance, between this place and this rejection candle here. So the trend line alone can already gives us a bearish outlook because we have price going, excuse me, we have price going downwards. So technically, we're looking for an opportunity to sell. And with the resistance, that's a double confirmation of us looking for an opportunity to sell. And if we flip down to 1 hour time frame, what I'm seeing here is a head and a shoulder pattern, which should trigger a sell. So everything is just falling in line. You can see there's a lot of spikes around here. You can see a lot of spikes, uh, takeouts here. So you trade this instrument with a lot of caution. It may still sell, but that's technically what I'm seeing. So you can draw a trend line there and a second trend line at the back to have a rising wedge pattern. So the neckline region will just be this zone here. So if price is able to break out, if price is able to break out below this zone, below this neckline zone, then you can trigger a sell on the GBP CHF. So I'm bearish on the GBP CHF on 1 hour. It's an intraday setup on 1 hour. And if you want to look at the profit potential, so break out below Fibonacci 38.2 to Fibonacci 50. This should be Fibonacci 50. That's not much. So let's focus on Fibonacci 61.8. That'll be 23 pips. Fibonacci 78.2 can be 44 pips. So between 23 and 44 pips, which is not bad in any way. That will be quite good. So we're bearish on the GBP CHF. That's for MK. USD JPY. USD JPY, this is daily 4 hour, 1 hour. Let's see. I remember, so I was talking about this I think last Friday, I said it was in a range. Is it still ranging? Now, we said we are bearish on the dollar for this week, but then for USJPY, I can't really find any resistance around. I can't find any resistance around, so I will advise to trade with a lot of caution. So we can't deny the fact that we have a valid rising wedge, but for me, I like to just combine it with a resistance. But then we have a valid rising wedge, which can lead us into the bearish direction. So, and price already broke out. Price already broke out, below the rising wedge pattern, indicating the possibility to sell. Don't forget, this is it's a 4 hour setup, it's a swing setup. You might look for an opportunity to sell this. Or let me say, if you're already on a sell, that's what I would say, because I will not give this as a complete signal as a fresh signal. But if you're already on a sell or on a trade on this will sell more if price breaks out below this support. It may sell more. But if you want to take a fresh signal for the dollar, I would rather advise you look at the USD card. That's my major dollar analysis for the week. Look more at the USD card. But if you're already on a trade on USD JPY, then just look out for a breakout below this support level. It may trigger more opportunity to sell from there. And RSI is currently below 50, so it's in a bearish zone already. Okay, I think that will be all. For others, I responded at one time or the other. Madam Onaji, I've mentioned Euro USD. Precious, I've talked about gold, so there's no point going back on that. And Conqueror is asking me to check Euro JPY and gold. We've talked about gold, so I'll look at Euro JPY, and that will be the last analysis. So we'll look at Euro JPY. You're welcome, Amaka. Now you can see that Euro JPY on the 4-hour is trading within a range. It's currently ranging. So there's a minor support here. Price may be finding its way up. So except you want to do this on maybe 15 minutes time frame, let's go down to 15 minutes. On 15 minutes, it's still not so clear for a trade. But what I will advise is this can become tradable. This is 1 hour. Yeah, let's say go down to 15 minutes. If this becomes tradable for me, if price returns here, and at that instance, this becomes a double bottom, then it can now trigger a buy after price breaks the neckline. That's the only time I'll be looking to buy the Euro JPY. Otherwise, I would just advise you stay out. And the other time you can trade this is if price breaks out. If price breaks out below this zone, that's a sell. If it breaks out above it, that's a buy. So those are the two scenarios I can look at. A double bottom on the 15 minutes or an outright breakout above the 1 hour and below on the 1 hour. All right, so that'll be all from my end this morning. Gold, Joshua is asking about gold. I said that for gold, wait for price to make a retest. It may go higher than the current price. Let it break above that resistance and retest the old previous resistance, which will now be a support. Then you can look for an opportunity to buy. So that's my view on
Mr.
gold.
Rotimi,
Yeah.
please, you did promise us that the webinar on the Finubashi will be dropped on the group. We've not seen it yet. And then secondly, the mobile version of how to do analysis with our smartphone. We promise us that as well.
And that the analysis thing may come up later. You know, we had some sessions last week. For the Fibonacci, I will talk to those in charge. It wasn't my session. I'll talk to those who handled it to see they can upload recording for that one. I'll do that today.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Yeah, thanks to everyone for the positive response. That'll be all from my end for today. So please trade safe and have a great trading week ahead. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, sir. We appreciate. Thank you so much, sir. Have a nice day.
Okay, I think before we go, let me just drop a bonus for us. Let me drop a signal on the Euro GBP. That's, I believe, will trigger in the course of today. Just a second. All right, so I'll drop it in the comment section now. We can pick it up from there. Euro GBP is going to be a buy stop order. Euro GBP buy stop at 0.83379. Take profit at 0.83607 and stop loss at 0.82912. It's going to be 1 hour time frame, so it's an intraday setup. I just dropped it now. I also drop it in the funded client group, so anybody that is there also can pick it. This is general for everybody. So if you want more signals, you can always join our funded group. We'll drop much more signals there. All right, so that'll be all for this morning. Take care and have a great day and a great week ahead. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome.
Have a great day. Bye, sir.